And a warm welcome on this, well, for us, Saturday morning here, for us in Australia. But we're back after about a month away from the Thailand Super Series, and we actually venture outside of Thailand as well, from starting off at the Chung International Circuit to the Bang Seng Grand Prix in July. We venture to another world-renowned circuit in the Southeast Asian region as we cross over the border to Malaysia and we head to the Sepang International Circuit for races 5 and 6 of the Super Series presented by B-Quik here this weekend. Daniel Yeoman here on the microphone once again, and unfortunately not joined by Scott Rankin for this weekend, which he is, I can tell you, is missing out on this. But we are joined by another of my well-renowned commentators from the virtual world, Reese Gardner, joining us once again. You may have heard him on the Thursday coverage from Bang Seng if you joined us for that weekend, Reese. So it's great to have you here for this one today. And I mean, yeah, we've come from a special and unique street circuit to one of the world's most famous circuits in this part of the world. Unfortunately, it doesn't see as much use widespread as it used to.
Yeah, indeed, Dan. Thanks for having me once again, guys. Really enjoyed my time helping out with the Bang Seng coverage, so I'm super stoked to be back for Sepang. This circuit is legendary, and for good reason. You know, it was built for Formula One, right? The Malaysian Grand Prix from 1998 to 2017, I believe. And unfortunate that we don't have the World Championship racing at Sepang anymore, but it still sees a lot of action for bikes and sports cars for sure. It's a brilliant layout, world-class standard, plenty of fast corners around this place and plenty of challenge too, especially at that final turn before you get to the start-finish line. Reprofiled some years ago to have some negative camber on the outside, but plenty of overtaking opportunities around here. We've got a couple of long straights, plenty of hairpins to negotiate, as well as some high-speed S-bends. So for qualifying here for the Thai Super Series, the supercar category, with GT3, GTM and GT4 on the cards, they're going to be maximizing their pace around here for sure.
Yeah, they will indeed, and as you did indeed point out, and as I sort of I hinted to there with the introduction here, we are running a limited set of the Thailand Super Series categories, specifically just the categories that make up TSS, the Super Series by B-Quik, here this weekend indeed. So yeah, we actually are combining our GT3 field, our GTM and GT4 fields, which those last two usually run together in normal operations. We bring them into the GT3 race, and yeah, we mix it all up together. This morning's broadcast is a short broadcast. We are just covering qualifying for our TSS sessions. They'll have two qualifying sessions, as they usually do, to determine the starting order for race 1 this afternoon. Race 5 of the season, race 1 of the weekend, which will be happening later on this afternoon, and race 6 of the season, which will be happening tomorrow afternoon, just after, I think it's 1:45 p.m. my time in Australia. On Sunday we'll go live, which will be 11:45 a.m. Thailand time for that second broadcast, or third broadcast, second race of the weekend. So this one's a sort of a short and sharp one. Unfortunately, it has been delayed a little bit due to a red flag in Porsche Carrera Cup Asia qualifying. Reese, with 3 minutes on the clock, if for those who might have live timing up and running, and those who know, if you want that live time, what I can do, folks, is actually I'll put it in the Thailand Super Series broadcast chat, and I might also make sure we also are live on the Speed Cafe YouTube channel, so I might drop that in there as well for good measure.
Yes, indeed. It was unfortunate to see that qualifying 2 was red flagged, but it looks like it's just gone back to green flag again. So they're going to be running the final 3 minutes of the session and allow the Porsche Carrera Cup Asia teams to get at least one more lap in, and then we'll be able to prepare the track for the TSS supercar categories. And I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of lap times we can expect out of those GT3 machines, to say nothing of the very competitive GTM and GT4 fields today.
Yeah, let me just see if I can find it for myself again. There was some promotion of the results from practice earlier this week, and I just need to see if I can find that for myself here and talk about that one, because I did see it publicly. Yeah, the team at Thailand Super Series, the media team, do put out a excellent amount of information. Here we go, got it. So from practice 2, which was hosted yesterday, Reese, so we'll work our way up from the bottom. So in GT4, the fastest car was number 36, Racing Aurora Mercedes AMG of Peter Hackett and Hayden Heikel, 2 minutes 16.584 around this circuit. In GTM, which is obviously our cars like Porsche Cup, Carrera Cup, but also the one that stood out on top was number 77 from PSC Motorsport, Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo of Afik and yeah, pardon me, actually the other name there is Intai, which I don't unfortunately know how to read, but 2 minutes 13.1 for the 77 Lamborghini, and the fastest car in TSS Supercar GT3 in practice yesterday was the number 27 B-Quik Absolute Racing Audi, sponsored by Meng Model as well. Lin Hao and Marcus Winkelhock sharing out car this weekend with a 2 minutes 6.021 for their practice times yesterday.
Indeed, getting some beautiful shots of the scenery here at Sepang International Circuit. That looks like the run up to turn 5 there as we go through the racetrack here. We've got 15 corners at this place, and there's a little bit of elevation change around here. Not as much as you see at some other circuits, certainly not as much as we saw at the Bang Sen Street Circuit, but it's a beautiful flowing track, this place. The longest straight being nearly 1 kilometre in length. And turns that you'll have to look out for, obviously the 1 and 2 complex, a double hairpin to start off the lap, and then the high-speed S's in the middle of the lap. There'll be plenty of that to go, as it looks like we're getting some footage here of the Porsches just rounding out their qualifying session and demonstrating exactly what these drivers are contending with. The pits for Super Series are actually on the quote-unquote back straight of Sepang, the opposite straight to the start-finish line. The Grand Prix pits decidedly empty for this. That'll obviously make it a little bit easier for us to determine pit stop lap times, because drivers won't be crossing the start-finish line when going through the pits.
Yeah, indeed. So good things. I can now hear a little bit of the cars here on track now, which is awesome to be able to listen into as we continue some of these ambient shots we'll have for this part of the session. And so there we go. There is the southern pit sort of concourse that is in use here on that run to turn 15, as you said, Reese, where these drivers are stationed for the weekend. So you can see here we've got a couple of our teams that have got a couple of cars into. They're sharing a pit garage. You can see the 2 Toyota Supras are now just at the far left of shot, about to pan out in the middle of the shot there. Team.
That's the number 25 GTM of Singer Motorsport, Team Thailand, the Ferrari 488 Challenge car there. That's one of the cars that's really stood out to me.
Yep, it's been one of the quickest, and it also was fastest in practice 1, which I believe was either late on Wednesday or very early Thursday. For that one there. So watch out for them. They actually have been adorned also a 25B designation. So because of the fact we have the 3 supercar categories combined, I believe they've had to actually amend the entry number for that car there, because usually this runs obviously 25 by itself. Singer Motorsport Team Thailand also got their 2 Honda NSX GT3s here as well once again this weekend. So they actually get a double garage there to make space for all those cars. And then we'll zoom on out. Looks like a Team AAI bringing a double BMW M4 GT3 Assault to the circuit this weekend, which is good to see. We've certainly one of those cars out in action. The number 95 Porsche Cayman GT4. Good to have them back in that category. There's the 2W Zoomies Supras in GT4. Those cars have also been strong this season. And then we come down to the B-Quik Racing stables here in GT4. B-Quik Absolute Racing, actually. One of the Caymans there, and then our 4 Audis there, if I'm not mistaken, sharing those double garages. And then a couple more of our GTM teams. We've got the Porsche 992 Cup car. Well, that's the number 10 that was, which is our Fire Monkey Motorsport. That's the 77. Lamborghini next to them from PSC Motorsport is Saravut and Afik. And there's a look down from turn 15 race towards that pit complex they're working out of this weekend.
Yeah, the Audi, a very popular option for the GT3 runners. As we look at a couple of our GTM and GT4 entries, you see the two Lexuses for Toyota Gazoo Racing Thailand there, alongside the I believe it was the AAS Motorsport Porsche 992 GT3, and the number 17 GTM, of course, is a category reserved for Porsche Cup and Lamborghini Super Trofeo, as well as Ferrari 488 Challenge and older GT3 machinery. So they do run a bit slower lap times than the modern GT3 cars, but they should provide some fantastic racing. I love the variety that we're seeing in all of our classes here. But the Audi R8 GT3 Evo 2 is the most popular option in the GT3 category. They're joined by, of course, those two Honda NSXs, two BMW M4s, and a single Mercedes in the number 65 of Viper Niza Racing. So we'll wait and see now as Porsche Carrera Cup Asia has completed their qualifying session, the checkered flag flying, and teams now preparing to get their cars out onto the racetrack and get ready for some scintillating lap times here. This is going to be a lot of fun indeed.
Yes, indeed. And yeah, for these guys here, to sort of explain a little, if you don't know what's happening here at Sepang this weekend, this is part of what's called the Malaysia Championship Series weekend. Had started all the way back on yesterday, Friday the 9th. In fact, actually, it runs through to Sunday. So here this morning, we've got two 15-minute qualifying sessions, and we'll look to see when they get started. Because we are now waiting on the conclusion here of Carrera Cup Asia to wrap things up. But there's a bunch of races and other categories running this weekend. We are unfortunately covering just specifically TSS events and racing this weekend, so it's a very short broadcast this morning. We return later this afternoon for race 1, which gets underway. Green flag is set to fly at 3:35 p.m. Malaysia time, which will
that's in about 6.5 hours.
Yes, we'll have to see if we can keep that schedule. We'll go live at least 10 minutes probably before that at the very minimum. There's a whole 15-minute sort of starting procedure window granted to each of the categories by the looks of things to boot. But indeed, now preparations beginning. And as always, TSS and the Thailand Super Series racing on the Hankook tyres once again. And for these supercar categories, it will be the Ventus F200 dry slick weather tyre that we will see in action this weekend as well. And we've seen these tyres, they perform pretty well. Although interesting to see that there may, in some cases, a case of where you might have some drop-off. It looks like the last of our Carrera Cup cars returning to the main pit lane there. Reese's, we have this lovely shot here of turn 1 there for a moment. And this will be a good test of these drivers. For those who have international experience and such, this is going to be a track that they'll know very well. But we'll see how our drivers who predominantly race specifically here with TSS, how they'll handle this kind of a circuit, given it does have some, Chang, I should say, has some aspects which might look similar, but I do feel like with Sepang here, a lot more flow in terms of mid to high speed corners they'll have to negotiate and be on top of here today.
Yeah, some very long corners here at Sepang, particularly the turn 6 and 7 complex, the high-speed left going into the high-speed right, and no tyre warmers in any of our categories from what I can see. So those tyres are going to be starting at ambient temperature. That means that the drivers will be focusing hard on their outlaps, on getting those tyres scrubbed up to temperature, up to pressure for optimum performance. Of course, this being Malaysia, it is warm and humid pretty much all year. We are basically in the middle of winter at the moment in the southern hemisphere, just going into spring. So ambient temperatures are cooler than what you would otherwise see, but I think it should still be a challenge to get those tyres warmed up as they make their way around the formation laps. Seeing plenty of activity in the pit lane at the moment, seeing photographers just getting into position as the first of our cars is out, and it looks like that's the B-Quik Absolute Racing, number 27, going to be leading the charge out of pit lane.
Well, lead the charge out of the pit boxes. You can see that, though, at pit exit, still 2 minutes until the pit lane will be opened up. Yeah, so final scrutineering and sign-off checks there from some of the administrative personnel Down in the pit lane, there's cars up here to roll out and hold at pit exit for about another 60, 70 seconds, actually, to be precise. Timing says we are 1 minute and 10 seconds away from getting started. That there is the number 36 Racing Aurora Mercedes AMG GT4. So as we said there, your fastest GT4 car in practice 2 from yesterday. And yeah, the fastest car in practice 1, or practice 2 again, sorry, for GT3, here waiting first at pit exit. They're shadowed there by one of their sister Audis. Oh, going to hold a red flag here at pit exit. Hopefully that doesn't mean we'll be delayed too much here today. As another one of the 2W Zoomies cars. I'm also just noticing in the chat. I've got the Thailand Super Series broadcast chat open as I usually do for these weekends, folks. So if you're watching along and want to ask any questions about, and if there's anything I can try and answer for you guys, you're welcome to ask me over there. Seb, no, bad. That's what I will say, though, in deference. Seb Flock, one of the friends I've made over the years through racing online, joining us. Good to have you, Seb, but at the same time, do you have to be such a pain in my backside? Seriously.
It's always fun to see. Mercedes number 65 making its way out. Sole Mercedes in the field for Viper Nisa Racing. Douglas Koo is a solo driver in that entry. We have a few solo entries here, but most of the entries are two driver. So they'll only have one driver in the car as the green flag flies, and we are out now for the outlap. The GT3s, of course, in the in the phase now of warm-up, as I'm seeing the first of our GTM cars starting to make their way out of the pit boxes as well. That beautiful yellow Ferrari. I'll be interested to see how well that car goes.
Well, it looks like it'll be a race between it and the Lamborghini as yet. So GT3 has been sent out first by the looks of things. And then the GTM cars will be released shortly afterwards to allow a bit of a gap. And then we will have our GT4 cars to wrap up. Well, they'll come out with these guys all at the same time because we have just these 2 sessions for qualifying this weekend. So we already had a minute that's come off the timing clock at this stage. So drivers are going to have to work hard here to get their qualifying times in to determine the grid for race 1 this afternoon. Of TSS by B-Quik action here at Sepang. Looks like one of the Team AAI BMWs a little late out of the pits, but they will get rolling right now. As we'll see here how the drivers tackle these outlaps, as you said, Reese, with needing to get the tyres up the pressure and temperature whilst making sure they're familiar with how things are out on the circuit right now this morning.
Yeah, indeed. It looked like those cars were just making their way through turn 5 at that point as first of our GT4s coming out, and yep, you're good. Let's go for the number 39 Toyota Supra GT4. Okie dokes. Coming up almost to the end of the lap now for our GT3 competitors making their way through the very tight hairpin coming into the final sector. Sepang, it always struck me as a circuit that's very hard on the front tires, because particularly through this section, you're braking and turning at the same time, trying to maintain momentum through these fast corners. And I think that's something that we're going to be seeing when it comes race time, is drivers struggling to keep those tires up to maximum performance. It'll be very easy to overheat them once they're up to temperature, as they're still weaving coming down the back straight, just making those final preps. Yeah, there's a lot of effort that goes into the tires here at Sepang, and through the negative cambered final corner we come, ready to start the first qualifying laps for our start here in the GT3s. Getting some news that for the start of qualifying 2, car number 90 must serve a 2-minute stop-and-go penalty. That's the Team AAI BMW M4 GT3, the second of them. Not too sure exactly what that stop-and-go penalty is for, but yeah, that's going to be 2 less minutes they'll have to get their best lap on the board.
Not ideal, that's for sure. Well, looks like the outlaps here starting to count to the times here in the session. So 2 minute 12 rolling away from the pits, which does make sense. The start finish line being, the timing line being on the main start finish straight. That will, of course, mean that the drivers had a bit of a run up there to that line, which means the outlaps aren't too bad. Oh, there we go. Around we go. So the number 27 machine, and that's in deep gravel there. I get the feeling that car's not coming back out. Lin Hao behind the wheel at the moment, and that might just bring out our first red flag of TSS action for the weekend.
Oh, wow. First qualifying lap. Oh, yeah, he's spinning the wheels. He can't get out of it. All right. Replay, red flag, as it looks like he just got crossed up over the curb there. I think that was coming through turn 6. Very fast right-hander there that you need to maximize speed through, but that's what happens when the tires aren't fully up to temperature. Just some big instability there. Lin Hao and Marcus Winkelhock, the start of their weekend, not going to plan here as our first red flag is out. That's really unfortunate.
Yeah, unfortunately, it just seems to be pushing a little too hard. And yeah, I can confirm timing and scoring says that car seems to have not made it past one of the microsectors after turn 6. So that was a spot on there. So all the cars back to pit lane. Clock frozen with 10 minutes and 54 seconds remaining. Will mean that we'll hopefully get that resumed. It just means that, of course, that we are now going to have to press pause on this session here a little bit. And, for Akash, Nandi, and Eshan Pierce, who currently sit atop the times because they had the fastest outlap.
Yeah, that's obviously that's the way the standings go at the moment. No one has been able to complete a hot lap just yet. So, yeah, it's. I mean, we're only a few minutes into the session. The clock indeed stopped at 10 minutes and 54 seconds to go in the session. And the poor GT4 competitors, they haven't even been able to get around to even set an outlap time. So this is going to be a frenetic end to the session once that Audi's recovered. We seem to have lost Dan Yeaman for the time being. So I'll stay here with you all as first of our red flag periods continue here in qualifying. Believe Dan is back now, correct?
That's the plan anyways, yes.
Yes.
It's just noting there from some of these shots here, I think as they came out of, that would be a turn 11 towards turn 12. It looked like some gravel on the middle of the road there, possibly have been picked up as confirmation on the timing screen, thanks to causing the red flag, basically. The number 27 Audi will not take any further part once it's recovered out of that gravel at turn 6 there. So that's going to be back of the field for one of our B-Quik Absolute Racing Audis. And, oh boy, look at that there from the front right of the 17 AAS Porsche with Kimmich currently. That's looking like it doesn't want to be stopped here for too long if they can get that car back out once the pits open in a few minutes.
Yeah, obviously a lot of effort goes into heating up the brakes on a qualifying run as well. So, yeah, you try your best to get some fans on that. Now it looks like the front left is having some smoke coming out of it. They've already fitted those fans just to cool the brakes back down. Need to be really careful of that. It's the main reason why you see in F1, for example, they put those giant fans on the front of the car as soon as it comes into the pits in a qualifying session, because once those brakes are heated up on a hot lap, you stop the car and there's no air flowing over the brakes, and they take a long time to lose that temperature that you've built up in them for maximum performance. So yeah, just need to make sure that everything is all good and safe from there. So reminder that this first qualifying session is for race 1, which is happening later on in the afternoon, and the qualifying 2 session is going to be for the second race on Sunday. And for the dual driver entries, we have one driver per race starting. So Lin Hao would have been starting potentially up the front for race 1, but he's going to have to start at the very back of the GT3 grid. Marcus Winkelhock, once he takes over the car for qualifying 2, hopefully won't have those issues as the red flag is over and we are back out. This time, the Mercedes GT3 leads the way out, followed by its younger sibling in the GT4 class.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to watch here. There was a nice orderly sort of division of the classes earlier as they basically let the GT3s out in front of the GTMs and the GT4s. But as you can see here, it is a flurry of everyone out at the same time. So for cars there like the Honda NSX, the BMW M4, they're going to have to want to make sure they swing past. They should be able to, obviously, long front straight, they'll be able to shoot past the GT4 there that was on the road in front of them there. But that would mean they've got to now mind that rather than be able to have a slightly more orderly start to things as we focus there on one of the 2W Zoomies, Toyota Supras, looking to get temperature back in their car, roll back out again. Less than 10 minutes remaining on the clock. We'll have to see if we hopefully be able to get all 10 minutes in the session because thanks to the delays from Porsche Carrera Cup Asia as well as that red flag interruption, we are now past the scheduled end time for this session. So we are now basically sort of easing into that. We'll have to see how quickly they turn things around for qualifying 2 to see if they can try and get things back on track with that there. Or whether they have to maybe shorten the session here as a result as well.
Yeah, well, we'll wait for further news from race control of that, but I think first off, we'll have to hope that no one else has an issue on a qualifying lap and beaches it in the gravel. Sepang, of course, a very modern circuit, especially when it was first built in the late 90s. But it is not like most Formula One or ex-Formula One circuits out there with tarmac runoffs all over the place. There are a few tarmac runoffs around here, but for the most part, the track is lined with grass and gravel, so you have to be extra careful if you have a spin.
Yep, be mindful of all of that stuff here, and that'll be, as you said, will be one to watch out for. Because, well, I guess it's also it's just sort of also for us. We've just come from Bang Sen, where it was basically concrete, and concrete and Armco protecting everything that basically borders the circuit, so no runoff whatsoever. We get to some classic conventional runoff here at Sepang this weekend. There is a question here about, do we have one of the teams from Thailand Super Compact YK Motorsports? Yeah, the answer is unfortunately not, as we only have the TSS Supercar categories here this weekend. But we are back in August, and in just 2 weeks' time, we return to the Chung International Circuit for Thailand Super Eco, Super Compact, Super Pickup, all racing for their 5th and 6th races of the season. So we won't be waiting too long to see teams like YK Motorsports back out on track now. Is that an intentionally slow Cayman GT4?
Maybe.
Which would be the number?
I'm not quite sure, to be completely honest with you. One of the GT4s making a pass on the GTM Porsche there. It's the AAS Motorsport car, obviously faster down the straights than the 2W Zoomies session. And if there are any questions over car 27 that may be brewing in the spectators' minds, it has been confirmed that car 27 won't take any further part in this session, but they will be taking part in qualifying too, largely because, it's a different driver that's going to be jumping into the car in the form of the man, the myth, the legend, Marcus Winkelhock. So, out lap time and first hot lap time as well for many of our cars here, and it's going to be a mad scramble to get those times on the board.
And the game of, as you said, for these cars here in the middle of the train, can you find some track position to get your flying lap in without being impeded by a slower class car that happens to be in front that's also trying to qualify, so best not to disrupt them too much. You can see our top 3 times that have come through so far from Akash Nandi, Huang Rohan and Douglas Koo. 206.000 just come through for Akash Nandi, so he's now just moved his personal best and the fastest time in session. 10th and a half forward from what it is on the August. Actually, I think we might have a bit of, about 20 seconds out on that there, so I need to keep in mind, I need to keep an eye on the synchronization. There it is. from Akash Nani on your timing. So let's see here for the number 90 BMW from Team AAI. And look to see where they go to. 2 minutes 16.5. So still warming that car up by the looks of things.
Yeah, just coming up to the start-finish line now. And
here
we go. Yeah, don't forget the pits are on the straight before the final corner. Across the line, the 91 will go. There's still the number 62 that has the quickest time. It's P6 for car number 90, Yaki Zhang. Getting a 209.5 in there. That's 3.5 seconds off the fastest time that we've seen so far in the B-Quik Absolute Racing Audi. This car up the front at the moment. Akash Nandi is absolutely nailing Sepang at the moment, and that car looks supreme around here.
Yep. The B-Quik Absolute Racing team always been strong in TSS, the Super Series. And no surprises, they're looking, well, they've got 1 and 2, positions 1 and 2 locked down at the moment, 62, and that number 25 with the A designation as well. They're just 0.3 off for Huang Rohan at this point in time. Now, also has come through that the number 38 is in GTM, Chris Vasratana in the Toyota Gazoo Racing Thailand, which I say is a Lexus RCF. In GTM spec, has had a lap time deleted for exceeding track limits on the exit of turn 4 right here in particular. So I have to be mindful of that in the remaining 4 minutes, as that was the Porsche Cayman GT4 that was slow earlier on in the session, I believe. Of Canter D, looks like they're back up and running.
Yeah, good stuff. Probably just letting the quicker cars by before they really got up to speed on that qualifying lap. Keeping an eye as well on the Supras here, who are out on track together, still battling hard with the GTM Porsche 992 GT3 as the Lexuses make their way around too. The Toyota Gazoo Racing Thailand squad in the 38 and the 24. Well, the number 24 is currently 9th overall and currently has the GTM pole position. So it's quite a bit of success going on at the moment, and the 38 right behind them too. So yeah, I think those Lexuses will be the ones to beat when we come to the race later on this afternoon.
Yep, they've been strong as well. Definitely at Chang, they were looking good. And this being a circuit that probably plays to that kind of strength where you can, it's about, yes, there is straight line speed that matters and good braking performance, but you really need to make sure you've got those mid-speed corners sorted out. But for Natavude, he's going to bring it back into the pits with 3 minutes remaining. So I wonder if they think they've done enough there in that car to cover off, as Kimmich has just moved up to second place in the AAS Motorsport number 17 machine. So that'll be one to watch out for a late charge, as the 18 came up, setting up for a flyer here is Cancer D series. Let's see what this Cayman GT4 going to do. Sitting a little bit further back, race at a 214.2, 15th outright, and actually leading the GT4 class, I should say, as well, is still good for them. Let's see what they can do. Maybe improve their margin there to over a 10th.
Yeah, let's see. The number 18 finding its way to the GT4 pole for the time being, and now they'll have to try their best to improve because, I've just taken a look at those times. They're 2:15.7 for the number 18, with the next fastest car only about a 10th behind. So they want to bring that margin up here in the final 2 minutes, and this is going to be their last opportunity to get a time on the board, unless they decide to go for a second hot lap there. Now, we keep an eye out for the Toyota Gazoo Racing Thailand Supra. The number 19 is looking very good at the moment in terms of stability, but they haven't been able to set a quick lap time at the moment. Sutapong Smitachach is currently on a 225.2, and that is 4 seconds off the next fastest car, the Team NZ Aston Martin with Graham John Dowsett at the wheel. So this is probably going to be the first and only representative time we see from them.
Yep, that's going to be something that they're going to have to try and nail here on this final flyer for the cars that are coming around here At this part of the circuit, like the 95, 2W Zoomies Porsche came in. They'll get one more lap, as will the Team NZ Aston Martin there. And that Porsche Cup car is the one of the B-Quik Absolute Racing. Came into the background, goes to the pit lane. So a couple of drivers thinking they've done what they can in this session. As it was a Team AAS number 17 of Kamik Karnasuta, who's just gone around the final turn. So for B-Quik Absolute Racing, they're pretty happy with the times the 26 has done so far. Although I can't see them there in the top 20. In fact, Henk Kicks and Erwin De Smet, they're down in 22nd outright. But they are one of 8 cars I'm seeing in the pit lane already for this session.
Yeah, looks like a lot of cars are done. As the checkered flag flies, our top 2 in GT3 and overall have decided that they are done. Looks like Sandy Stuvik bringing the 3rd place GT3 home with a slight improvement to a 206.4, but not enough to shuffle the B-Quik Absolute Racing cars off the top of the standings. Graham John Dowsett at the wheel of the Aston Martin Vantage, one of my favorite GT4 cars. Absolutely love seeing this thing around. Very nice, clean livery too, I have to say, but there's some trouble there with the number 15, I believe. I'm not too sure if I got the number right there as the checkered flag was flying. So Graham's last lap there, probably a little compromised, and he'll be compromised again because here comes the Porsche 992 in GTM to make a move on him. The AAS Motorsport car has been struggling for pace here. Kamik Kamasula struggling to really match the time set by Natavude in the Toyota Gazoo Racing Thailand GTM there, but looks like he was splitting potentially the oh no, he's trying his best to get into the top 3 there. So let's just see now the Aston Martin bring it into the pits. It seems he is done as Graham John Dowsett, and well, it's going to be a start all the way at the back. He'll be hoping for a better run in the race.
Yeah, that is true. We'll have to see what they can do. There is qualifying 2 to come as well here shortly, of course. So don't forget, there'll be a chance for the second driver of Anatorn Tung to have a crack at qualifying that car as our last couple of drivers make their way across the line over on the start-finish straight to set their final qualifying times. And with those 2 there on the start-finish straight, I do believe we are now more or less official in terms of where things are. Although we have had 2 extra messages come through from race control that number 17 car has had one of its laps deleted, along with the number 90 machine having a lap deleted, both for track limits. Turn 4, no surprises there. We've had one of those already, but another one, turn 11, being another spot, which is where the number 90, to be precise, lost a lap. So that'll be another spot to keep in mind, it seems there, Reese. And that, I believe now we just need to wait for the teams to be ready for qualifying 2 to kick off.
Yeah, indeed. We'll go through a driver swap in the dual driver entries. The number 36 Mercedes just getting some final preparations done as Hayden Heikel prepares to take over that car. Last few cars coming into the pit lane now. So that will confirm for now. The number 62 of Akash Nandi will start on pole position for the first race of the weekend later on today. B-Quik Absolute Racing dominating the GT3 qualifying standings, but not by much. Sandy Stuvik put in a very nice lap in the number 37 there to get rather close to them. PT Biron Bhakti in the Singer Motorsport Team Thailand car sitting at 207.7, a little bit off the time set by the top 3. That's going to be a close race for the podium places in GT3, and a pretty big field spread as Lin Hao and Marcus Winkelhock once again causing that red flag initially, Dan. That's going to be a big shame for them. We'll see if they can make their way through the field.
Yeah, well, indeed have to see. Now, it should result in being put as the back of the field for GT3. At least they won't be put behind other categories, I do believe.
Yeah.
They will be sharing the track, of course, with GTM and GT4. Those are your 6 cars in GTM, and Toyota Gazoo Racing Thailand on top with Nadavude in the 24 there this time out in Q1. And we saw there Kansas Kasiri wrapping up GT4 qualifying and is on top by 0.4 of a second there in the number 18 AAS Motorsport. Porsche came in GT4. We've had an update come through that they are 5 minutes away from qualifying to starting out here, Reese. So we are a little behind session, but it does mean that we are going to try and trim back some of the deficit there by only having a 5-minute turnaround here for qualifying for TSS, the Super Series by B-Quik.
Indeed, and we should have that go very quickly indeed as we get ready for the second session here, checking out the big moments from this qualifying session, and I'm sure we're going to see the very big one in just a few moments. If you missed it, the number 27 of Lin Hao making his way off the racetrack, unfortunately. A big spin coming through turn 6, and that ended the session. So Lin Hao is going to start this first race from the back of the GT3 field thanks to that incident. Beached in the gravel, couldn't get it going again, and we had to red flag the session.
Yeah, definitely a shame for that. This guy's there. Got qualifying back underway, thankfully, and as a result, everyone scrambled back out on track. So, unlike the orderly start where we send out the GT3s ahead of the GTMs, ahead of the GT4s, we've then got these classes here mixing up on track together and trying to all find just a little bit of their own space to race. And does mean that, for some drivers, probably could have gone a little faster in the qualifying session, but they'll have to settle with what they got in for Q1. And as the checkered flags fell, Akash Nandi on top in GT3. As we said there, Nadavude on top for GTM and Kenji Kasiri in GT4. With a couple of drivers and teams there, as we noted during the session race, they were confident enough. They came in a little early, which still worked out for most of them pretty well.
Yeah, indeed it did. We still managed to get more or less a full session in there, and some excellent lap times from the top of our GT3 field, managing to set low 206s. So we'll see now if Eshan Pieris is going to be able to match that time from Akash Nandi, having taken over the number 62 at the front of the field. But I'm looking forward to seeing what Marcus Winkelhock can do, jumping into the number 27. Of course, Lin Hao will be regretting the slight mistake that he made at the start of qualifying 1. But now it's time for Winkelhock to take over that red and black Audi at the head of pit lane. And I'm looking forward to seeing some scintillating lap times from him.
Yep. So these are, in theory, for our 2 driver pairings, based on driver gradings, they are faster drivers now about to head out on tracks. We'll see what they can do here. Bit more up and down on the circuit. Temperatures still warm, but shouldn't have changed all too much at this point. Apparently looking at around 28 degrees Celsius air temperature with a light northerly breeze. In saying that, very high humidity, meaning that depending on what weather service you use, it's currently talking about, I've got one that talks about having a real field temperature versus the actual measured number. And thanks to the humidity being somewhere in the order of 78% currently, it apparently feels like it's more like 35 degrees Celsius if you're standing out in the sun, and slightly cooler 32 degrees Celsius if you've got some shade to work with out the circuit.
Yeah, so still not ideal by my standards, at least. I tend to prefer colder temperatures. That's why winter's my favourite season down here in Perth, Western Australia. But yeah, Obviously the on-track action will be a little bit hotter as things stand. We still have the Toyota Gazoo Racing Thailand cars getting ready for their run out of the pits, getting their drivers sorted. But Marcus Winkelhock is waiting now for the call of the green flag. 1 minute remains, or maybe a little less, until we see the cars released onto the track once more for qualifying 2, which will set the grid for race 2 on Sunday. Getting ready. Few more bits of movement in the pit lane behind. This is going to be a fun time.
And now we've got the stack up here of at least 2 wide in the pit lane using sort of the blend line, the blend sort of merge lane and the fast lane as well. So now got to see if drivers can sort this one out here, because you can see they're all still waiting. And there goes the green flag. So the 27 second attempt at qualifying, and it will be followed out by the 62 with Esham Pires behind the wheel now. Let's see, how do they file that? So the GT3s are going to get most priority there. Try and get them all out first. Then we'll send the GTMs, and that would explain why we've got a couple of the GT4s, especially from 2W Zoomies. They're not too fast. Looks like they're going to take a slightly more relaxed exit out of the pit lanes. So there go the GT3s. Yep, there come our GTMs. Although there's a couple of GT4s in amongst them, so that might just put paid to that theory I was working on there.
Yeah, interesting. Well, away go the 2W Zoomies cars, the number 59 making its way out with Kachon at the wheel of that machine. And now it's time for the outlap. Once again, seeing a lot of weaving going on in the GT3 categories, but it looks a little bit more sedate in GTM. A little bit of weaving to warm up the tyres from the Toyota Gazoo Racing Thailand Lexus, but the Lamborghini Super Trofeo for PSC Motorsport evidently not wanting to wait around and get to the front of the queue.
Yep, but it's getting to the front of the queue, all right. The Racing Aurora 36 Mercedes GT4 with Hayden Heikel behind the wheel decides he's going to be the one to lead this pack around. Doesn't quite have the outright lap speed to keep that 77 Lamborghini behind, and as a result, gets a turn 4. Bit of side-by-side, and there we go. Sound of that 5.2 litre V10 makes itself known there from the ambient microphones at the circuit. And a dash of Mercedes V8, I think they're sprinkled in the background to boot as they round turn 6. And this part of the circuit here, you can see a bit of shade from the grandstands as they approach 7, but then back out into the sun. So those parts of the track should be plenty warm as they then make the run for turn 9, and the second hairpin here on the inner part of the circuit.
Yep, climbing up over the curb, maximizing the entry into the left-hand hairpin, and on the power, but not for too long. Got to lift off and jump back on the brakes again for this next right-hand bend. Medium speed, which means the tyres are going to be going through a little bit there as things stand. And then this section of the circuit has always been one that strikes me as difficult, almost flat out through the left-hander and then the right, but you got to slow down, keep the tyres turning though. You got to nail the apex for the penultimate corner of Sepang International Circuit, and this is time for your final preparations as you come past the pits and wait for the start-finish line out of the final corner here, which I want to point out again, was modified some years ago. It used to be flat all the way through, but with some modifications in 2016, it was given some negative camber, so it's become more important than ever to nail the apex of that thing.
Yeah, I haven't had the pleasure to see this circuit in person in real life, but obviously seen racing from years gone by here, and also playing around with it virtually as well. And that negative camber at the final turn does make for an interesting sort of thing in a four-wheel car. There's obviously the camber's there primarily for our motorcycle racers and enthusiasts. Helps them obviously a little bit there as we watch a couple of the GT4s there rounding the final turn, and still want a bit of warm-up prep down the start-finish straight, it seems, so maybe needing a second lap to get the car feeling as they want here. Get the hand hook tyres into the prime window. They do have still about 10 minutes. Actually, we have nearly 11 minutes left in the session here, so that'll allow them to bring the tyres into this road. But again, if we have another red flag situation, Reese, not to say it'll happen, but, well, that'll turn all that preparation upside down a little bit.
Yeah, the teams all found out the hard way in qualifying one. We're waiting for the first representative lap times here. Seeing purple in Sector 1 from the number 62 with Eshan Pieris at the start of this first hot lap. News from race control as well. Car number 37. That's Yi Deng in the win here by BQAR car. Lap time deleted for them, as now we have the times flowing in here in GT3. 206.1 is the current fastest lap, and it's the number 12 Singer Motorsport Team Thailand car. That's a very interesting time there from the blue and yellow Honda NSX GT3. Be interesting to see if Winkelhock can try to match that.
All right. Well, they got some pace on the board, which is good to see there indeed. As watching here amongst the GT4s and GTM drivers, they make their way back past the pit complex to turn 15. Let's see here as they round the final turn what they can do. So there you go. So top three cars in GT3 now separated by just over half a second, I should say, sorry. 206.103 plays at 206.677 there in third place. Now, Eden goes to fourth place after setting the fastest lap on the outlap. Has to find, though, 2 seconds to challenge for potential pole position in Q2 here. Fastest car in GTM, though, goes the way of Afiq Yazid in the PSC Motorsport Lamborghini Huracan, 209.336. Actually mixing it up quite nicely amongst some of our GT3 cars at this stage. So we'll be looking to see if any of the GTM cars can catch up to him at this point. But also, that's several GT3 cars that are a little off the pace at the moment. So they should cycle forward towards and ahead of that 77 in due course.
Yeah, indeed. It's only a matter of about 0.4 of a second that they've got over the next car for overall position. The next GTM car is Natavuda in the Toyota Gazoo Racing Thailand Lexus. 2 minute 12.3 for them. And that's a gap of a few seconds. So I think we're just waiting for those Lexuses to build up a bit more in terms of lap time, because we saw how quick they were in qualifying one. Should be well matched in terms of driver lineups. So expecting a little bit more from them as the minutes tick by.
And it will be the case, you'd think, that, yeah, they just bring the tyre in perhaps a little bit more gradually, make sure the car's warmed up as well in terms of brakes and all of that stuff. Even though they've just done a qualifying run, just look after the car, bring it in gently. They've still got to get through 2 one-hour races this weekend, whilst it is a fairly minimal schedule. And also finding track position too. As you can see here for the 38, the sister Lexus RCF, as it rips past the pit complex. Up behind Hayden Heikel, need to try and clear the Mercedes GT4, but the problem is that Heikel on a qualifying run as well will probably not be too keen to let up space, although the inside's wide open. Will they cross over on the exit? They're not quite. The Lexus will stay ahead, but only just.
Yeah, only just indeed. Well, the times will continue to flow in here, and Haikal not improving on that run, it looks like. 217.5, and actually put down a position. There was another car that made a big improvement. We've had our first 205 of the session, and no surprise to see it's in the hands of Marcus Winkelhock and the B-Quik Absolute Racing Audi in our GT3 field. That is a stonking lap time, and it makes me wonder what Lin Hao would have been capable of if he hadn't beached it in qualifying one.
Yeah, big what ifs indeed there. So they hold pole position by just over 1/10 of a second from Kantasak Kasiri, who did go quite slow on that last lap. So we'll have to see, does that Honda NSX GT3 from Singer Motorsport Team Thailand have a little something left in that one? The number 15 Porsche 992 GT3 Cup car, which is piloted by Simon Chan, currently here on screen with us now. I can't actually see them, though. It's the number 10. That'll be why. I'm looking for the wrong car number. They're currently sitting second in GTM. Now, this is GTM AM subclass of all the GTM cars. That would put them, if I can count them correctly, I think that's about 6th. So they've got a bit of work to do in that. Indeed, you can see it there on the timing tower. Should also help me out. The graphics package here showing us the stuff there is to the top of the GT3 field, Reese. Another master of GT3, Jesse Cron, makes his mark on the sheets.
Wow.
Had to be a clip by Cantor Sakasiri as well, right in the moment.
The lap times are falling down. This is magnificent. So Marcus Winkelhock has to respond here with 5 minutes remaining in the session. He's got to make up 0.4 of a second. I don't know if he'll be able to do that.
Well, looking there at Douglas Koo for a moment, 209.8 is got his best time on the board. Just did a 211, so we'll see if he can improve in due course. But there you go. So there's the two Hondas. The number 12 there, as you said, with the blue and the yellow accents, looking mighty strong indeed now on provisional pole position. But it looks like for Eshan Pires, they might not have anything left in the number 62 of the B-Quik Absolute Racing stable. So they've come to the pit lane, and looks like, based on the fact we haven't seen these cars head back out, and with just 4.5 minutes, probably not much left to get them back out there. So I think they might be done. As for the Team AAI BMWs, the number 91 there having pulled over from own. Number 90 here of Yu Chen, or Yin Yu Chen, I should say, looking to go better than a 208.7, having just done a 211 last lap around. So let's see what these guys can do, because they're pushing.
Absolutely. Chen, she's going massively hard through the turns there, trying to nail the throttle. Of course, these GT3s have traction control and anti-lock brakes at their disposal, but the drivers often like to turn those settings down to have a bit more control, fine control over their cars. So let's see what the BMW can do here for Team AAI, coming into the final corner now, and waiting for the next lot of lap times to come in, and still waiting for that response from Marcus Winkelhock to overcome the 2:05.5 that's been set by Kantasak Kusiri. That's some fantastic runnings going on at the moment. And we're waiting for a response as well from the Singer Motorsport Team Thailand cars. Of course, they currently have provisional pole here for the second race of the weekend. Yeah, we've got a lot left to run here. 3 minutes is a short time, but a lot can happen.
Just having a look at my timing screens here, Reese. Unfortunately, you're going to be waiting a little bit longer than you might think for a response, because, well, the only two cars in the top 5 that are currently out on track from GT3 are the Singer Motorsport Team Thailand Honda NSXs. It appears that Jesse Cron, Marcus Winkelhock, and Eshan Pires have all headed to the pit lane, and given what we've seen from these drivers and teams so far, I would believe that's them putting up and saying that's the best we can do here in qualifying this morning. And so it looks like, unless there's a big improvement from Carlo Van Dam in the sister car to this Honda NSX on screen, Kantasak Kusiri might have just done a beautiful job to get himself on pole position for, as you said, the second race of the weekend on tomorrow afternoon. It is race 6 of the championship for 2024. As Kimik behind the wheel of the AAS Motorsport, number 17 in GTM, just improved marginally on the last lap with a 2:10.939. Second off of class pole, but can they find maybe 0.9 of a second to challenge Kitapole and Superkit for a front row start in GTM?
Well, pushing hard over the exit curbs coming out of turn 6 there through turns 7 and 8, which is where we saw a car having its lap time deleted earlier on in the session. Checking back in on GT4, by the way. Currently, it is the number 18 Porsche Cayman of Candide Kusiri on the pole position, but we're waiting for the 2W Zoomies cars to make a response there. The number 58 is currently in third spot. So on their final qualifying lap at the moment, that is your GT4 pole sitter as things stand. Some excellent lap times being set there by Candide Kusiri. He is 7/10 clear of the rest of the field.
Yeah, that would suggest, unless there's a big charge coming from drivers, you said, like the 2W Zoomies, Toyota Supra GT4s, he might just be feeling pretty comfortable. That also looks like it's a pretty calm and collected in-lap back to the pits for the 18. Just to make sure he gets around probably turn 7 and 8 here without holding up the two Supras behind. Looks like they are still hustling, looking for one final chance to put a time on the board. As you see them there in the background, a shot. Looks like there might be just enough time for Candide to get to a part on the track where he can probably move over and not be too much of a disruption, as it were.
Yep, nice and easy on the exit. Seeing a little bit of oscillation in the suspension of that thing, so they'll need to be careful about that. Obviously, a lot of nice flat curbs on corner exit as the checkered flag flies in qualifying too, and we'll wait and see if there's anything left here as the number 18 has slowed down and will currently preserve that pole position for GT4. All of our GT3 runners are currently in the lane, apart from the Team AAI BMW number 90. Still waiting for them to complete their final qualifying lap. But I think about half of the field's still out there on laps at the moment. And, well, as cars continue to file into the pits, we're not seeing much in the way of laps being completed, but we do have a Supra making its way out of the final corner. Unsure exactly which Supra that is, but the time is put on the board there, and I'm not seeing much improvement from anyone at the end of the session. So maybe a bit of an anticlimactic end to the session, but still, we saw some fantastic driving on display in that session.
I believe that was Kachorn Chiara in the 59 machine, which unfortunately sits at the bottom of the timing tower there. And with the rest of the field in the pit lane, just a couple of cars left to return now to this pit complex to officially wrap up Q2 and therefore have the grid provisionally set for race 6 of the Super Series by B-Quik, which, as I said, that'll race tomorrow afternoon. And yeah, that's just about it for us here this morning as well. We'll hopefully see some highlights shortly from this second qualifying session. There's your Singapore Motorsport Team Thailand machines. We didn't talk much about the 25B machine, Super Kit coming home second place in GTM. Looks like the answer is no one can really catch the PSC Motorsport Lamborghini when it's fired up in qualifying, based on its performance, a good 7/10 clear in the GTM category there. And yeah, everyone now gets a moment to relax. All the cars got through that one there. And here are your results for qualifying 2. So starting with the GT3s, it will be the Singapore Motorsport Team Thailand Honda NSX of Piti Bhirombhakdi and Candice Akasiri on the top step for race 2, Reese. But you got the Chunhai Chen, Jesse Cron, AAI, BMW not too far behind there.
Yeah, brilliant laps by both of them. Marcus Winkelhock, his sole lap in the session, a 2:05.9. He would have been hoping for a little bit better from that. Moving on through into GTM, the PSC Motorsport car on pole. 7/10 gap there for Afik Yazid over Superkit Genjitranan. And there was a further second almost back to the AAS Motorsport car of Kamik Karnasuta. Very close indeed between Toyota Gazoo Racing Thailand and Fire Monkey Motorsport. It seems like the second drivers in the GTM Lexuses didn't quite have the pace to match their times in qualifying 1. As we go through GT4, it's another 7/10 of a second gap there for Kantadi Kusiri. Brilliant job indeed. Nakib Noor Aslan could only get a 2 minute 16.0, but that's still well clear of the other competitors in the field. So now we will have another look very shortly at what we have at the end of the session here. Making sure that those brakes were cooled down from qualifying 1 for this next run here. We had some, we didn't have as much drama, obviously, Dan, as we had in the qualifying 1 session, but still some brilliant stuff to come away from this qualifying session. I'm just amazed at the drop in lap times, just how much faster the drivers went. Obviously, track conditions would have been a little different here over about 15 minutes worth of time, but yeah, just some fantastic times that we saw there.
Indeed, we did. And yeah, as you see here, some of the drivers, in the middle part of the session, putting into the seat. And for a moment there, we thought it might have been drivers out, Marcus Winkelhock or Jesse Cron, that went to the top step with their experience in the GT3 discipline, but can't, pardon me, and the number 12 machine there from Singapore Motorsport Team Thailand, and Kantas Akasiri behind the wheel, putting that car on the top step there to disrupt that one there. And with that, the last couple of cars made their way around. As you said, it wasn't a huge amount of improvement late in the session, but that was it there. Unfortunately, folks, that will conclude our coverage of, well, this morning's action for TSS, the Super Series presented by B-Quik, as we now have the other categories as part of the Malaysia Championship Series weekend heading out track. Unfortunately, we don't have guaranteed footage from the circuit for that. What we can say, though, is Toyota Vios Challenge up next, and then the Malaysia Championship Series, their first race of the weekend, is coming up in about an hour's. Let me see here. That's officially starts at 11:20 Malaysia time. It is currently 9:50 Malaysia time as well. That is broadcast separate to TSS. So we return at 1:15 p.m. Malaysia time for the pre-race preparations for those who are interested in seeing our first race of the weekend, race 5 of the championship. Make sure to be back 1:15 p.m. Malaysia time this afternoon. Pardon me, I completely messed that one up doing time zone conversions. Yeah, 3:15 p.m. Let's make sure we get that number right there indeed, Reese. But we're looking forward to calling a full 60-minute race with you here this afternoon. Race 5 of the championship coming up later. But any final words from you to wrap up this morning's qualifying coverage?
I'm just getting ready for the racing. Honestly, I'm looking forward to seeing what the Winkelhock Audi will be able to do from the back of the GT3 field in race 1. Obviously, those big issues for Lin Hao there. Lin Hao taking the wheel. That's going to be my main marker for this race coming up at 3:15 this afternoon. Time conversion is a bit easier for me. I'm in Perth, Western Australia, same time zone as Malaysia.
That does indeed help just a little bit. So yeah, 3:15 p.m. Malaysia time. It is currently 9:53 a.m. If you need it, so the conversion is in just over 5 hours time, folks. We'll be back for race 5 of the TSS by B-Quik Championship. GT3, GTM, and GT4 all on track together for 60 minutes coming your way this afternoon. My name's Eddie Yeaman. It's been Reese Gardner here alongside me, bringing you the commentary this morning for qualifying. We'll be back for the racing action this afternoon. Have a good time until then, and we'll see you later.